Well, Pat, that was really nice to hear from him.
It was. That was a cool conversation.
Yeah, and I guess it's a nice lead into with something else we were going to talk about. That, well, we could talk about Kickstarter or Tindie, but I was thinking, Tindie as far as somewhere that's nice to sell stuff. I'm trying to think.
I'm very pleased with Tindie. I've been selling on Tindie for 4 years, 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? I believe
Maybe
that.
So.
I'm going to say that that's true.
In fact, I think that's how I met you, because I haven't really sold on Tindie for that long, maybe like a year, a little more than a year. But Pat was a seller there, and I actually interviewed him for Tindie for their blog. So, because I've written for their blog for several years now, and now I sell stuff for them, and that's actually probably become bigger business than even the writing side of things there, at least at this point. And it's interesting, like, it's nice to be able to write about something that you think is cool, because sometimes I don't want to say what am I trying to say? Sometimes you have to make a buck, but sometimes you can write about something that you really think is awesome. And Tindie qualifies as that category, I think.
Well, that's awesome. Jeremy, there's something we didn't say.
What's that?
So I'm going to ask you the question. What on earth is Tindie.com?
Oh, yeah, so Tindie, well, it's that, I was going to make a joke about it being a dating site, but that's not.
We made that joke with Max Maker.
I'm sure.
A long time ago.
Yeah, that joke has probably been made thousands of times, maybe. But no, Tindie is basically a website where you can sell indie electronics. So, think about like, Etsy or maybe even eBay, but like basically focused on electronics that, more or less you made, or maybe supplies for making something. And it doesn't even have to be electronics. It could be something that you laser cut or 3D printed. It's just kind of a, almost like focused on electronics or digital manufacturing, to, kind of thinking about Winston Moy's kind of term for it, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think there's actually rules about what you can or can't sell. There must be some sort of rules, but...
Yeah, I don't know. They have an approval process, so I guess it was to... there are rules, I'm sure, but, if you're selling, a blanket or something, there's better...
There's better places, but I bet they wouldn't say, no, you can't list your blanket in your store. I bet you could crochet just like Etsy, and I bet they would like
it. I bet they'd love like a crocheted resistor or something like that. That would be...
Yeah, I bet there's already somebody doing that.
Now, I know there's a reason you want to talk about Tindie, and I think it's because your sales have been spiking for the last month or so.
My sales have been fantastic the last few weeks, and it's not Tindie's fault. It's YouTube's fault. But I mostly want to thank you guys at Tindie. Thank you, Tindie, because... My wife wanted to start an Etsy store. She's been for Christmas, she made about 20 or 30 of these catch-all trays for her workers at her company, for her employees.
Oh, that's awesome. And it looks like it's just basically three trays. It looks like a very small lunch tray or something.
It kind of does.
But it's beautiful, though.
This was fancy. I had to get it's got a little slot in the back for you'll sit your phone in here and it tilts back. It's pretty well thought out. She did a good job. But, starting an Etsy, there's a lot of Etsy shops, and we wanted to get her a little bit of traffic, right? So you remember a bunch of episodes, 2 episodes ago, the last episode, we talked to my friend Alex about his soda machine adapter.
Right.
He's been selling that on Etsy, and he got sick of selling it. He didn't like doing the work to sell it. I mean, it's a longer story than that, but that's enough. That's a good summary.
Okay. He got tired of all the money.
Do you want to sell it?
He got tired of all the money rolling in. I understand that.
Yeah, it's just too much money rolling in.
Too heavy.
And I didn't know that I really wanted to sell it, but Chris wanted to get her Etsy store up and running. I figured, 100 soda adapter sales in her Etsy store, that would be a good jump start to get her into the analytics, to get her into the SEO of Etsy. And we put it up there. She sold like 30 of them in the first few days. And then Etsy just closed her shop down. Just her brand new shop. They closed it. They didn't say why. They didn't tell us we did anything wrong. We mailed things we had already mailed out. They refunded the orders automatically. Oh, yeah, it was awful. Yeah.
What you're saying is that Etsy wants you to not be too successful right off the bat. They want you to kind of like
ramp into it or something. Yeah, we must have triggered some sort of fraud detection of stuff. But you would think they would tell you something.
You would think so,
right? They told us. We've asked. They haven't said anything. We don't know what happened.
Huh.
So I was hustling to get the part up on Tindie quickly because we wanted to be able to fulfill those orders. And I was trying to go fast, and they kept rejecting. Tindie kept rejecting my. I didn't have the good pictures yet. I didn't have the new ones printed. We had them all boxed up, ready to go. I was like, we got. But we got it taken care of. It all worked out.
Good.
And I think we've sold 50 or 60 of them so far in about 2 weeks.
That's really good. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Tindie, at least at this point, they're big enough, but they're, I guess, small enough that it still kind of feels like. I guess I always wonder if my perspective is a little skewed because I know I work for the head person at Tindie, I guess, so I can get a response pretty easily. But hopefully, I imagine it's similar for other people, though maybe not the same. You know what I'm saying? Like
Google told me there are 2.5 million people selling on Etsy.
Okay.
So you are in a sea of everyone.
Okay.
Right? I can't imagine it works well.
Because I guess.
Well, it probably works well if you're doing well, but.
Yeah. I guess it's just I don't want to. What am I trying to say? I feel like I have a great experience, almost like it's like like your friends or family or not you know what I'm saying. It's like I don't feel like it's quite an anonymous thing, but maybe that's more me than the general public. If that makes, I don't want to give them, you know what I'm saying. I don't want to say something where it's not necessarily true.
Well, I can tell you from my long working history, Jeremy. Every time I've moved from one company to another, it's always been to smaller companies. I started at a Fortune 30 or 40, 20, I don't know, a large company, right? And I was only a small, I was just a little peon, right? It doesn't matter. But I prefer the smaller companies. There's probably too small is too small, but I don't want to be at the 50,000 person. I don't want to be employee number 58,200 at a 60,000 employee company.
I think that's wise. I think there's a bit of a sweet spot because I think if you get too small, it's like a family-owned company. That's great, but if you're not the family, you're not going to be the president of that company. Yep. Whereas, last place I worked, I don't want to say they were a small manufacturer, but they were not a really small company, but kind of on the small side. And I felt like they treated their employees really well, and there was a lot of our opportunity for advancement if you
join. You don't even have to join the family.
You don't even have to join the family.
You don't have to marry into it.
Actually, it was a family-owned company, but it was big enough that people were doing pretty well that weren't in the family. You know what I'm saying?
But I think what we're saying is we have nice things to say about Tindie. We have nice things to say
about Tindie, even though we got a little off track there.
But you're telling me this next project that you're working on, you're not going to kickstart it.
I'm not thinking I will. It's kind of going back to Tindie, I've had a good relationship with them, done pretty well selling stuff with them. And what I decided to do, I don't really know where I got this idea, but it was somehow I thought, with the Raspberry Pi, you could make a case out of a PCB. It'd be pretty easy. You just make a top and a bottom and have standoffs. And that's what I did. I'm going to call it the JC Pi Protect. I debated calling it the JC Pi Proto, but Pat seemed to think that more people care about protecting their Pi than prototyping on it, which I think is probably accurate. But
I think the prototyping is a big deal with Arduinos.
Right. So basically, this comes in. It comes in.
Can I hold mine up too, Jeremy?
Yeah, please do hold yours up. But it comes in two flavors, and yours has the.
I have some. I glued some lights to mine.
Yeah, so it comes in two flavors. Pat has here. We're holding ours up. I feel like this is like what you would do in Voltron or something. We'd like hold each up.
Voltron.
And then we'd combine into the giant robot or something.
And I messed my taped on lights up. They're rotating.
So I'm not guaranteeing that if you hold yours up to another one with
the Wonder Twins.
Yeah, Wonder Twin. I never saw that one, but exactly. You hold yours up, you combine your powers, and then you become a giant robot. Like,
Now, you know what I think is fantastic here, Jeremy?
what's
That you have the pins labeled over here.
Yeah, so
I mean, I'm aware it's on the wrong side, but there's an arrow to show me, and the fan has to be where the fan is. I understand that.
right.
This is fantastic, because I never know.
So yeah, that's one thing that was a bit of a, I don't know, maybe I don't want to say an afterthought, but something I didn't really think of to begin with. But basically, I was just like, well, what can I put on the silk screen? In the top of this, I put labels for like 3.3 volts, inputs, outputs, etc., and I point it to the GPIO pins. And as I've been experimenting with it, that's been such a wonderful feature because
Well, I want to tell you how stupid I feel today, Jeremy.
okay,
Because I started to take my Pi out of I have this 3D printed case that I modified with I should hide so it focuses with my little Uber lights thing on there. Took it out of here. I started to put it in here, and then I didn't have the right standoff, so I aborted and was going to put it back in here. And I said, well, I have to plug the Uber lights back in, and I didn't know which pins they had to go on. I'm stupid. I didn't just read this. I Googled it. I'm looking for it. I'm trying to like, yeah, I could have just read this, Jeremy. It would have been right here.
well, it's amazing because basically the one version of this has the top has like basically smooth top more or less, and the other version has a prototyping version on it. And I was hooking up some stuff for to demonstrate it. And I was hooking up these lights, and I hooked up a fan as well with an Easy Fan 2 board that we talked about earlier. I was like, oh, where's the 5 volts again? I was like, oh, I can just look over here to the left, and it's really a fantastic feature. I don't know why it's not. I don't know. I'm surprised it's not more prominent, but I'm pretty happy with that.
This is a super sturdy case, Jeremy. PCBs are made out of fiberglass, right? That's some kind of
FR4.
FR4, and it's sturdy stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't make a drone out of this. I'd destroy it, but I could huck this at the wall and it would survive. I mean, maybe I'd smash the connectors off because they're hanging out, but the case would be fine.
Yeah. Well, I guess one other thing I should highlight about the case, it's got the GPIO pins. It's got a space for that. And then the fan, I haven't ever seen a design like this exactly either, but it's got a square hole in the middle. So you could put a heat sink on it. And then what it's got not holes for mounting, it's got slots for mounting, which basically allows you to use, in theory, different size fans. The fans could be bigger or smaller. I only tried it with a 30 millimeter fan, but theoretically you could fit something a little bit different on there.
And it looks like you have slots for the camera and the display.
Right. I've got slots for those as well too. So I haven't actually tested that, but hopefully that'll work. I've got some on the bottom. I've got my mounting holes and such. Pat suggests that I put a interesting design on one side. I don't know if I will or not, but that's.
Yeah, they should definitely be different so you can make a choice because it's reversible. Technically, you could flip it over, so you could put it on either way. Yeah,
they're mounting holes, and then one of them can, or I guess either of them really, they could be used with a DIN rail adapter. So if you wanted to put your Raspberry Pi in an industrial case, not that I'm necessarily warranting this for industrial use.
Do you mean to tell me that I can make a mount to snap this onto my baker's rack next to my CNC machine?
If it's got a DIN rail, absolutely.
No, well, it doesn't, but I can make an adapter that would just go right onto that round metal.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
You're smarter than I thought you were, Jeremy.
Oh, thank you, Pat.
You are quite welcome.
That could be a compliment, depending how smart you thought I was before.
But this is amazing, Jeremy. I'm really pleased with this.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. It's I feel like my PCB design skills, it's good enough, but it's not like I do anything that advanced. It's just sometimes I have these ideas that maybe people haven't thought of, if that makes any sense.
It makes sense.
Because I have a lot of ideas, and a lot of them you don't want to know about. Not that they're ominous, but a lot of them.
You should post them into Discord, and people will tell you that They'll either confirm or deny your intuition that it's a good or a bad idea.
Well, that's a good point. But most of them I
Is
know
that
are
true,
bad ideas.
James? James says that a lot of 3D printers are starting to use DIN rails for the electronics.
Really?
Is this a
Well,
Voron thing, James? He'll tell. He's like 30 seconds behind.
oh,
We're
okay.
30 seconds behind, so he won't answer that right away.
Well, that's interesting. Well, that's great because I'm a big fan of DinRail. You know, I think as I mentioned, I used to work in industry, and I used to hate anything except for screw terminals and spring terminals. I like soldering better than I used to, but
You're getting better at it, Jeremy. I've noticed in your more recent videos. It seems like you've had some practice.
oh, thank you. I can say that's about the same thing as me
And
being smarter,
I
me being
saw that
smarter
you're.
than I thought you were. Or
Well, we have evidence as to how well you used to solder. You have videos.
I was very bad at one point in my life.
But I see you've
So
upgraded to a TS100 soldering
that's
iron.
right.
How do you like it?
I like it.
Because I've upgraded to a Pinesil.
A pine tool.
It's the TS100 and TS80. I guess they're both open source, and the Pinesil is the Pine 64 computer people make
Okay.
a TS80 compatible. They're like $25 for the Pinesil.
Okay.
And I said I'm never going to use this. Brian got me one, and I said, why would I use this? I have this nice 80-watt big honking soldering iron. Why would I ever use this tiny little soldering iron? And at first I hated it because I kept touching the button. I'd pick it up and hold it, and I'd hit the down arrow by mistake. But once I stopped doing that, it's a fantastic little $25 soldering iron. Way better than my $100 soldering station.
Really?
And your
'cause,
TS100 should be at least as good, I imagine.
a friend of mine said I need to upgrade my soldering station, but I don't know. I think the TS100 is pretty good.
It is
But
quite good.
it's a whole lot better than my Radio Shack model or whatever it was back before I had the TS100.
Yep. How much do we have to pay to buy a Pie Protect at on Tindie? Is that have you decided that yet?
I haven't quite decided yet. How much would you pay for one, Pat?
Boy,
The
I don't
auction.
know. I'm the kind of guy that if I want a case for my pie, I'm going to turn on my 3D printer. It's tough for me to say.
I hear that. I'll say that it'll be between $5 and $30.
Well, I would certainly pay 5, but I don't know that I'd pay 30, Jeremy. And are you
Okay.
going to do kits with a little fan and everything?
Yeah, so I probably will do a fan. Basically, I'm then thinking what I'll do, since I have this Easy Fan 2 board, probably I'll have like an option that you can just like pop on an Easy Fan 2 and a fan, or I don't know. I haven't quite figured it out because, from Kickstarter, I've figured out it's very important to figure out what options you want to add. Otherwise, it just becomes kind of.
Can I tell you about a thing that I'm bummed out about that I haven't found a solution for yet?
Okay.
Because it might be a
Sure.
problem that you have.
Well, if you got a problem, I'll solve it.
Will you really? Let me pop this case open here so I can pull the wires. You know the DuPont connectors, the little
Sure.
breadboard wires. Well, I want to be able to connect my Uber Lights boards. I want to be able to send out an Uber Lights with, DuPont headers on the other end of the. But DuPont headers are terrible. They're so tall. Jeremy, do you know a way that I can connect to regular pins with some? Do you know of a lower profile way to do this?
Are you interested in soldering?
Well,
No,
that's the answer everybody gives me, Jeremy, and I would be happy to do that, but I'd like to be able to I'd like to be able to 3D print a case, stick an Uber Lights in it with wires coming out of it, and mail it to someone, and they could just plug it in. And
I've never done it, but I've heard of a technique called wire wrapping. I know,
yeah,
I'm sure you have too.
I bet no end user wants to. I mean, I know about wire wrapping. We used to do it at the telephone company. They have a little gun that goes whoop and zips the.
Man, I'm trying to think. I got some for the Easy Fan 2. Incidentally, I got some low profile 90-degree headers, male headers, that work pretty well. Now that's not the same. That's not what you need, but maybe there's something.
Yeah, I tried.
Maybe there's something
I
like.
tried like the ribbon cables, like that look like the old IDE cables, but they're just as tall as a DuPont cable. By the time the little protectors across the back and everything, I was bummed out when I dug one of those out of my parts bin.
I don't know, Pat. I guess I won't solve it. I just wanted to make
No.
another
I don't have.
Vanilla Ice
It's
reference.
a hard problem, Jeremy. James wants to know, how do us guys, that's you and me, Jeremy, how do we feel about PCBs with pogo pins for easy attach accessories on a Pi or similar?
Yeah, so a pogo pin is basically it's like an electro connector that has a spring on it that looks like a pogo stick. So you poke it in something and it has a that's kind of interesting effect. Poke it in something and
Yeah, so if you
it
have
just
like
makes a
3 or
nice
4 of them in
connection.
a row, they don't have to all be perfect. When they touch the PCB, they'll all get pushed down. Like my 3 fingers
Yeah.
here, the first one will hit, and then
So is he talking about actually putting the pogo pins on the pie, or is he talking about an
I
accessory, or
assume on the accessory, like on a hat. Not a hat. What do they call them on a pie? A cape? Hat? Cape?
not either, not no, it's hat, hardware attached to
But
top.
hats are. Oh,
That's
it's shields or Arduinos.
shields are Arduinos, capes are beagle
Oh,
board. Yeah, I mean, I like pogo pins.
yeah. I don't.
I guess
Pogo pins are
it,
pretty tall, though. You'd have to have a pretty tall accessory to stick on top of your pie to get it to pogo
yeah,
onto.
I mean, I like them, but really depends on the context. I think magnets might be pretty cool.
Oh, I love magnets, Jeremy.
I think Apple had something like that basically like a power thing that would pop off if
Yeah,
somebody,
the MagSafe
you know,
plugs. Yeah,
MagSafe. So something like that for a Pi would be pretty cool.
yeah, and you would need female pogo pins, and I don't even know if those exist.
Is that? I don't
Somebody will
know.
tell me if I'm wrong. So you could go to Tindie.com/whatever Jeremy's URL is, and you could go buy yourself a Pi Protect by the time this is on the air for somewhere between $5 and $35.
That's right. So yeah, that'd be awesome. Or just look up Jeremy. Just Google Jeremy Cook Tindie.
Boy,
Should
and
come
these.
up.
Oh, but you need to send the standoffs. I was going to say these would ship in an envelope for 25 cents. How much is a stand? They're not 25 cents anymore.
Yeah,
42 cents, 48
yeah,
cents,
yeah,
52 cents.
yeah. Back in 1985, you could send him send him back with Marty McFly or whatever.
Yeah. Jeremy, you're going to make fun of me. Well, we could edit this out of the Kickstarter episode because it doesn't have to be in there. Yesterday, my friend, you know Alex,
Sure, I do.
he just got a new welder. He got the last pieces he was going to be welding yesterday was the first time. He said, Pat, you should come over. I'm going to weld. You need to help me out. And I said, well, Alex, I have to go do a podcast. We have to do a live stream tonight. I got out the camera. I put a shirt on. I set everything up yesterday. And about an hour or a half hour before it would have been time to do the podcast, Chris asked me what I'm doing. I said, well, I'm getting ready to podcast. She said, Pat, that's tomorrow. I'm like, oh, shirt. And I unplugged everything.
Yeah. Well,
And yeah, I felt bad.
it happens. Well, I'm glad you were thinking about it.
Yeah, usually if I missed at all, I miss by an hour because of time zones. I get mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
But this was a whole day somehow.
Well,
Don't tell anyone,
sometimes it's the next day in China or the previous day. So you're in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, Jeremy, we've been playing. Did you see Jared's video with the big giant F key?
The guy from Subway or
Yeah, no, the guy from Australia.
okay.
He has a big 3D printed F key
Yeah.
that works. He's been playing Velocidrone with us on Thursday night.
Oh, really?
In Discord. Yeah, and he said it's in the afternoon when we do it at 9 p.m. and he's in Australia, so it's like 2 in the afternoon or something. He said, and you know what? I had to ask him, is it 2 in the afternoon? Is it today or tomorrow?
Yeah, but I mean, to him it's today.
Well, yeah, to him but is it? We do it Thursday nights. Is he playing on Thursday afternoon or is he playing on Friday afternoon? Well, we're playing on Thursday night. I didn't
I
know.
don't know. Maybe he's watching the.
And now that I'm saying this, I'm totally confused. I don't remember what the answer
Well,
is.
if you're watching the podcast, Jared, please
Please let
call
us
it.
know. Yeah, Jared, tell us what day it is.
What day?
Where
Well,
you
I've
are
got a
right now.
I've got a thing on I have my thing or whatever in that tells me what time it is in Shenzhen. So that's pretty
Oh, that's close enough.
So it's tomorrow plus 13 hours. So I guess
So he was playing Friday afternoon.
Well, the thing is, in Shenzhen right now, it's 10:15 in the morning. So
Today or
tomorrow.
tomorrow?
But, Australia's got several time
Yeah.
zones, I would have to imagine.
Yeah, but he's well, I don't even know what time it is now. Yeah, he's a few hours off from there, but that's fine. It's tomorrow, so he plays on Friday.
Okay.
When we play on Thursday, I'm gonna remember
Well,
that.
that's good, I guess. So,
The future.
yeah,
Our friend James Cobb, he tells us that's the
it's
future.
the future.
Is when he plays. Oh, Brian. Well, first, before I ask the question, Brian's smart. He asked Google what time it is right now in Western Australia. Brian, did she tell you what day it is in Western Australia? And speaking of shipping, Jeremy, you have on our list that you'd like to talk about the TV shows that we're watching right now.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
too big of a jump?
No, I figure we're about to wrap it up, right? So we'll go ahead and give a little. I figure that's a good thing to tell. But
Yeah.
Pat, is there anything you want to talk about? I feel like you've been asking all the questions. I mean, I guess that was the point tonight.
Well,
but
I don't know, Jeremy.
anything you've been working on, or
No, not today. I'm okay. I just talked about so many things last week on the other live stream on the Butter What channel. So I'm kind of
okay? I figure that's always a good service. I'm always interested in what people are watching because trying to find stuff to watch.
So it says here you're enjoying The Expanse.
I saw the whole thing, enjoyed the
Don't
Expanse.
say too much. Don't spoil it. I haven't gotten to the last
I'm not going to
season
spoil
yet.
anything. I'll say there's a main plot line and kind of like a subplot line. Main plot line resolved itself pretty nicely. But there was a subplot line that I just felt like was kind of like,
We didn't need that.
why
here.
do they even have this in here? You don't need that.
That's
there.
how I felt
So,
about the Matrix movie. The new Matrix movie. Did you watch the new Matrix?
I didn't. Was it worth watching?
I mean, it's nowhere near as exciting as the first one was in 1998 or whenever that was, 99. That was very exciting.
Was it better than
It
the
was
third
way
one?
better than the third one.
Okay. How was it compared to the second?
I've always said that I think there were about 2 3/4 really good, or 1 3/4 really good Matrix movies, and the last 20 minutes of the second movie just killed the story. Right? It just everything could have made sense, and then it was now this is just weird. But yeah, it's better than the second and third movie. I think it's
Okay.
fun.
Well, maybe
it's enough fun. It makes enough sense.
Is that on HBO? Is it on HBO still? Or is
I don't think it is. I think
passed?
it was the end of January they took it down. It'll be back up though, Jeremy. You'll be able to see it again.
All right. So maybe I'll watch it, or get it at the Redbox or library or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. My kids get all kinds of movies
Do
from the
they
library.
really?
It's quite the. Oh yeah, it's a great resource.
Now,
So,
do you have your kids watching?
know.
I should know how old your kids are, Jeremy, but I'm not good at. Even if you told me, I don't understand how old they are. So
No, that's fine. You can ask. I mean, I prefer to keep my family
okay.
vague.
Well, that's
you know
fine.
what I'm saying?
Here's my
but you can
real
ask.
question: are you teaching your children to watch the TV shows you grew up watching? We have Brian's son watching Knight Rider with us, and he thinks it's bananas.
No, not really. I feel like I feel like I need to introduce my son to Star Wars eventually.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty into it, but it's how am I going to get my hands on a decent non-special edition copy of the first 3 movies? That's I can't have him watching that. That's ludicrous. But that's neither here nor there. So no, not really. He's still a little young for that. But maybe not Knight Rider. I don't know.
Yeah, Knight Rider would have been new when I was 6, I think. And we thought it was really cool when I was a kid. Really cool. I mean, it was a car that
Never watched it.
my uncle at the time, he bought a mid-70s Corvette at that time. And I thought it was a cool car, but you know what? I asked him a question that's very offensive to a Corvette owner. He still has that car, I think. I asked him, why didn't you buy a Trans Am like from Knight Rider? I was 6. I didn't understand. I didn't understand this was the better car. I didn't know.
Who's to say?
Brian says that Gunnar, that's Brian's son, has been binge watching the Ghostbusters cartoon.
Okay, that's interesting. Actually, I've heard the Star Wars cartoon is pretty good. I haven't watched that.
There's a
Maybe
couple of
cartoons
different
of
Star Wars cartoons, aren't there?
like,
There's
there's
too
so
much.
I guess
There's
the thing is there's too much. There's too
The
much. Pat, because
Mandalorian was fantastic. Have you seen The
I
Mandalorian?
heard
You
that was
don't have
pretty
Disney
good.
Plus.
I have not because I've children. If I get Disney Plus,
You will have it forever.
if we get rid of Disney Plus, there'll be a riot, I think. But I do want to see The Mandalorian.
It's a good show.
But
You'll have to pirate it. Get it on the piratebay.com.
it's too bad. Maybe they could make a crossover with like Back to the Future. The DeLorean.
Oh, see, I'd watch that.
something.
But that's probably like Rick and Morty is that crossover, right? Almost, sort of.
Oh yeah. Is Rick and Morty still on HBO or not?
It's somewhat. Yeah,
You
it's
could
on
ask-
HBO. Yeah. They have it on the HBO
Okay.
app.
Interesting. Well, I don't have HBO right now. I kind of cycle through things like a wheel of time, as you might say. And I wasn't a fan of that show.
I watched
to be
The Wheel
honest.
of Time and I enjoyed it enough. I mean, I don't know. I would never go out and say,
I
"Oh, you
heard
got to watch The Wheel of Time." You got to watch, Jeremy. I wouldn't say that. I don't feel like I
just
wasted
thought it
my
was a little-
time, though. Sometimes I watch a show and I
Right,
feel
I
like I
didn't-
wasted my time.
I didn't think it was that bad, but I didn't think it was. I just heard the books were spectacular, and I was just expecting more
Yep.
out of it. So,
I remember
it's
trying to read the first book. I don't want to say trying, but I don't do well reading fantasy where they describe all the leaves on the trees and the way the grass is doing what. Like, I don't
Yeah,
care. I'm
they
like
need to-
4 chapters in and nothing's happened. I'm going to read something else. It's
yeah. No, I agree. Some books should just be cut down a little bit.
my friend Cliff
think.
used to
Oh.
do that. He used to have those yellow books
Oh,
in the
Cliff.
bookstore that we used to write our book
Yeah.
reports from.
I will say book-wise, last series I read was the Silo series. Yeah, I don't know if anybody watching has seen that or listening,
Silo series.
but those are some excellent books. It's basically about these. I don't want to give too much away because there's like several levels of reveals in the whole thing, but I guess it's not revealing much. But basically, these people live in a silo underground, like a missile silo,
Okay.
basically. And that's all I'll say for now. But it was
Like on Kimmy Schmidt.
yeah, kind of like Kimmy Schmidt, but gigantic.
Or Fallout. Those Fallout games.
Yeah, I never played those.
I never did
don't
it.
know.
I played the game before Fallout. I played the team that made Fallout made another game before they worked. Yeah, I don't know the history of the company, but they didn't have the rights to continue using the name, so it's a different game.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
But that was
okay.
the 80s, Jeremy, when I played that. That was maybe the early 90s.
What-
That was
what
called
game was this?
Wasteland. Was the
I feel like I've heard of that. How can they not? How was Wasteland a patent?
well, it's I mean the whole
name
whatever. I
anyway.
mean, if you're making a part 2 based on the characters and
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
so you didn't like the Wheel of Time.
Yeah. I mean, I only watched like most of one
Did you watch The
episode, so
Witcher?
it was just.
I enjoyed The
watched,
Witcher
like,
a lot
maybe two
more
episodes of
than
that one.
Wheel of Time.
I think that was a better show, but the guy just throws me off a little bit because he's like, it's like, how old is this guy? Because he seems pretty young, but then he's got like long, like very gray hair. Something.
Oh, and if you didn't watch
Doesn't
the
seem
whole
right
season,
about
I don't
that.
want to tell you how much time goes by.
Okay, maybe I'll
It's,
go back and watch it.
They did a good job of whatever I don't want to spoil here to anyone, but they did a good
Yeah,
job
okay.
of it.
Maybe I'll pick that up. I'm on. I don't have Netflix at this point. We've got Apple Plus and Amazon. So and I watched a couple episodes of Reacher. Probably watch
Is
some
this
more of it.
something I
But
should watch?
yeah, pretty good. It's I'd describe it as this type of movie basically described as a Western. Basically, somebody comes into a town where things aren't right. It cleans things up, and that seems kind of like what's
Okay.
happening here in a way. My problem with this show is this guy looks about like mid-90s Arnold Schwarzenegger, but so far in the show he's had a beer, a piece of apple pie that he didn't eat, and like some sort of like Snickers bar or something. And I think maybe he ate like some guy's meal
You're
at a
saying
prison.
he needs more calories to maintain this stature.
I'm saying the guy, if a guy looks like that, you got to justify it somehow. You know,
This
like
is the realism Jeremy is looking for. If the guy is big, he's got to be eaten.
Because did you see? You know, I know you're a fan of J.K. Not Rowling, but Simmons.
Yeah, he's fun.
In last episode of Goliath, did you see that?
I missed the last season. I've not seen the newest season of Goliath. I don't think.
Anyway, that guy's pretty ripped, and you know it shows his muscles off a bit, but it also shows him working out all the time and eating a lot.
Yeah.
So you know what? That's what I expect out of that. If
now,
you know,
Brian told me that I'm doing a bad job keeping up with the chat because one of us is always talking while I'm reading this, and then we're already talking about a new show.
Sure.
But they're doing a good job talking to each other here. But Brian said he watched all of WandaVision in his attempt to catch up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I want to know if he's had the song stuck in his head. There's a song.
I heard there was a
fantastic.
song. I heard people weren't happy. Heard some people weren't happy about it.
Who was unhappy about it?
Supposedly people were unhappy because they expect some sort of big reveal in the after post-credit scene. I just feel like that at some point I just couldn't deal with.
It's too much.
Too much stuff. I mean, how many?
Brian says you need to stop jumping to conclusions and watch more Reacher. How much he eats is a recurring theme. Brian says. That's Brian McMoses down there in the YouTube chat.
All right, well that's good, Brian. You know, I think you know I have this invention that I made. It's called a jump to conclusions mat. And I'm gonna put it on Kickstarter pretty soon. I think it's a good enough show, but not like a must watch. I'll say The Expanse. Gotta watch that. Gotta watch Counterpart.
I enjoyed. I wish they didn't cancel
but
Counterpart. I enjoyed where that was trying to go.
I think it ended it logically.
I felt like I was a little rushed.
Happy with the ending.
To an ending, maybe.
Well,
but that's fine.
Anyway.
It doesn't watch. I agree though. Counterpart's fantastic. I would watch both seasons.
And you know, I guess I got to ask you one more question before we probably
Sure.
wrap this up, Pat. Have you finished
No.
The Head yet?
I tried to one day, and I realized I waited so long, I forgot enough, and I didn't know who anybody was anymore, and I figured I'm in trouble now. I don't know how I'm gonna. I can't go back to the beginning.
Yeah,
I goofed up.
Well,
I did a
okay.
bad job,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
I just enjoyed the whole scenery, you know, being on an Antarctic ice station thing. But well, Pat, I think that's
I think
probably a good place to leave it.
What should do we do a sign off like this is a podcast? Do we need to tell everybody where to find your stuff?
As far as if you want to find me, you can look up Jeremy S. Cook, and I'm on Twitter at Jeremy S. Cook, on YouTube at Jeremy S. Cook, and if you search for me on Tindie for any of the stuff that I've mentioned, you know, it's on my stores or will be in some form or fashion. Just look up Jeremy Cook Tindie or Jeremy S. Cook Tindie. I'll be there.
I'm on the
What about
internet,
you, Pat?
Jeremy.
Where can we find you?
I have a website. It's patshead.com, and everything else you need to find about me. It's all the links to the important stuff are in the sidebar, like my YouTube channel and my social media stuff, and yeah, it's all there. And it'll be in the description of this video. And I bet we do it on. I bet it's somewhere on SoundCloud too. I bet we do it.
It's somewhere or
You'll
other.
find me.
If you try to find us, if you look hard
Yeah.
enough, you'll probably find us. So, all right. Well, good.
It was good talking to you, Jeremy. We've got spam on YouTube here.
Really? Well, that's like pretty impressive
my
that we're
goodness.
that popular that we get spam now.
We
Well,
should. I'm
should we
sorry. I
sign
was canceling the spam, and I don't know. I'm slow because I don't know which button. I've never had to do that before. I didn't know which buttons to click. But yeah, we're good. You guys all have a good night.
Bye bye.
Where's the button? Here it is.